2025 open access path analysis study involving 362 African American youth. Social media stuff has put a lot of additional pressure on a lot of the folks. And
I don't think a kid under 10 should be on social media. I don't, like unmonitored.
You see something really troubling, put the phone down, take a step away from it.
People are not bullying me online because of my race, because of my gender, it is because of their homophobia. I stopped that, she was in hijab, and I just said, assalamu alaikum, and she responded, and a big old smile on her face.
Welcome to Khan Klinics, your dedicated space for exploring the vital connections that shape your well-being. Here we dive into everything from achieving peak physical fitness by mastering sustainable weight management to optimizing your diet for a vibrant life. We're passionate about uncovering the power interplay between your mental and physical health, offering you insightful strategies to nurture both. Join us as we unlock the secrets to embark on your self-confidence and your inspiration by interviewing top-rated personalities, not from only the US, but around the world. At Khan Klinics, our commitment is to bring you evidence-based information that inspires you to confidently control your health journey and live your life to the absolute fullness. I'm your host, Amir Khan. Let's get ready to unlock the true potential of being a human with the most amazing people around us. Let me have a follow-up question to both of you ladies, and you can answer it from your own perspectives. And that's putting in context, we have a community that is not well represented. There is now a huge surge in social media content that is out there. This social media stuff has put a lot of additional pressure on a lot of the folks and communities of color as well, and especially our youth, who are really the big drivers of this. Two separate questions. One, what guidance would Dr. Alfiee give to our youth that they can maintain a balanced approach to digital media and maintain those healthy habits? And for Dr. Harb would be, how on earth are we going to study this? And how is the data going to come out when there's not a lot already out there for us? And now we got a mix that's all on computers and platforms that are not readily accessible.
So I think for me, what I try to say to young people is I recognize we're not going to get you off social media. I'm not one of those folks. I have a colleague. He's a cool colleague. We just have very strong differences of opinion, whose perspective is your child shouldn't have social media till they're 15. And I'm like, good luck with that, right? Being a parent, I got two of them at home. And
that's not happening anymore.
No, it's not happening. Like, you can wish, but that's not happening.
It's not.
So I think instead what we have to do is really think about I don't think a kid under 10 should be on social media. I don't, like unmonitored. But I think if they have it, the most important thing we can do as parents and caregivers, because I'm always conscious, not every person who parents a child is their biological parent. There are lots of caregivers out there. So we always say parents and caregivers at a Coma Project. And so for me, what's really important is acknowledging that we're probably not going to get them off. Acknowledging that for many young people, particularly young people with marginalized identities, social media is the hub where they're finding connection, particularly if in their physical space, they're isolated. We happen to be, we're based out of the Northern Virginia area, which is relatively diverse. But there are other places I've lived, Madison, Wisconsin, that weren't diverse at all. And so if you're a Black or a brown kid growing up in Madison, and you don't really have representation around you, right? We didn't even have hairdressers. There was one shop that could do black hair when I lived in Madison in the 90s. I'm sure it's more now. But how are you going to figure out how to do your hair if nobody knows how to do it? You're on social media, right? They're going to teach you how to do it. And so there's usefulness for it. But what I always want parents and caregivers to be mindful of is that we have a responsibility to build a open, transparent communication type of relationship with our kids, so that when we give them access to social media, when we give them the smartphone, we can also at the same time, we did this, true story, I got it from the Obamas, I saw it on TV a long time ago, have a conversation with your kids when you're giving them that smartphone and giving them social media. Sign a contract. Now, does that mean you sign a contract once, they're perfect on social media forever? No. But it is establishing boundaries and a relationship and a precedent for how you expect your child to govern themselves on social media. And then I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Harb to talk more about our data. But part of it for me in designing the questions and pulling the research together was to try to get at the special topics that have significance and relevance for right now. So in both iterations of the study, we talked about social media. In the first iteration, it was more about during the pandemic, how was it impacting you? Because kids were isolated, they were at home. And now, Dr. Camelia, you can talk about it a little bit, but we talk about how does social media both positively support and negatively impact our young people.
I want to rephrase my actually question to Dr. Harb, because I feel that social media should have been taught in schools from a very early age. And while that's not been done properly, and there's a huge void, and we've left our youth to run on their own, where is the data now going to come from when we are talking about marginalized community? There's probably, first of all, there isn't any data on when it should be given to children, because they're watching it at the age of 2. As soon as they open their eyes now, they're looking at social media, because that's what we are doing. So if there's no data, what I want to hear, you can tell me there is data, Dr. Khan, and then you can tell me where is the data, or what do you think the imprints are on marginalized community or people members, and especially our youth we're worried about.
Right. No, I sometimes think about it, I'm a millennial, so I sometimes think about, I don't think anyone envisioned social media becoming what it has become, because for many people my age, Gen Z, the different gen now Gen Alpha too, social media is that hub where everyone gets everything. In our study, the one that we published just this past May, it was something like 96% of the youth that we surveyed, and we surveyed close to 9,000 youth and young adults of color in our study. 96% of them say they use social media, and the average starting age was around 13 years of age. The troubling side of it is we ask them things about representativeness. Like, do you see people that look like you? Do you see people who share your racial background, your gender identity, your sexual orientation? Like, we ask all of those questions, but we also asked about experiences on social media. The troubling, unfortunate finding was that we also asked about racial trauma, exposure to racial trauma. And we asked about sources of racial trauma. And it was, I can't remember the percentage point, the exact decimal percentage point, but it was something like 34-ish% of youth and young adults of color said that their exposure to racial trauma mostly came from social media. And when we started to ask more specific questions about this, it was things like, people have said very negative things about my race online, about my ethnicity online. I have been threatened online because of my race and my ethnicity. And so when you start seeing numbers like, 36% of the youth said they agreed or strongly agreed with this, 40% of youth said yes to these questions, that is troubling if what they're being exposed to is harming them in these significant, serious sorts of ways. Because we also know that when there is a lack of accountability online, we, like as Dr. Alfiee was saying, we can't perfectly control what youth see, and we also can't perfectly expect that they will come to parents, caregivers, friends, other sources of support to say, hey, I saw this really troubling thing online and I don't know how to deal with it. It really sort of puts the onus on, okay, what are we going to use this data for? How are we going to put measures in place to protect the mental health of youth from that social media standpoint? So like Dr. Alfiee was saying, it's, parents and caregivers have a part of it. I think, organizations and like systems have a part of it too. I know we can never be perfect. Technology keeps like getting smarter by the moment. We can't fix all of it, but I think a big piece of it is also reminding youth about having mindfully healthy habits while they are on social media, whether it's taking a break every hour, or if you see something really troubling, put the phone down, take a step away from it, go find someone that you can talk to about it. But I know also, just kind of don't mean to go way beyond the question that you were asking, but thinking about it is that we can't take them away from social media. But I like to think more about how can we leverage social media then to be helpful, because we know that more and more youth are also turning to social media, turning to AI for support. Like we have crisis hotlines that you can text with for support. We have looking up where can I go for XYZ, and those sorts of sources I think are where we can hopefully focus a lot of our energy to make sure that they are responsive in proper, safe ways for the needs of youth.
Let me just jump in really quick, because we talked about the stats, and Dr. Camelia gave you some, and I want to give you, because I have them in front of me, I want to give you some of the hard stats.
So, I'm already bewildered a little bit about hearing the 35% of them and saying, I just heard something or I'm seeing something on social media. You can imagine these girls, and some of my daughter included, they're going through thousands of stuff in like hundreds in an hour, just flipping through and trying to absorb all the information. There's a high chance then 35% being exposed.
And that's
the content is out there.
That's the lower end. So 32.4% of our youth and young adults of color report that they most often experience racial trauma from social media. 29.1% report being bullied online and threatened with violence related to their racial identity. So people are looking at them, and so about almost 30%. And then 25.2% had negative things said about them online, about their gender identity, and 25% report being excluded online around homophobia. So what we like to talk about at Acoma in our research is we always tell young people, this is a nugget I like to share with everybody, even those of us who are not young anymore. And that is this: these things don't happen to you because of who you are, right? So people are not bullying me online because of my race, because of my gender, it is because of their homophobia, because of their racism, because of their Islamophobia. The onus has to be on the perpetrators of that violence toward our young people, and not our young people thinking that they've done something just by showing up in the world, maybe with a hijab. No, baby, that's not why people are picking on you. They're picking on you because they look at that hijab and they make negative associations. So it's not you. You wear your hijab, you be proud of who you are, you be proud of your identity. I just saw a sister at one of the shops I stopped at. She was in hijab, and I just said, assalamu alaikum, and she would had a big old smile on her face. You can do that. You can just acknowledge somebody's existence by what you see. But when people choose to treat you poorly, it's never because of who you are. It's always because of who they are. And I really love for young people to get the nuance. I've been preaching this to my kids since they were little, because it absolves you of the responsibility to do something different to make people stop treating you poorly. It's not your responsibility to make people stop treating you poorly. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. So those stats, what they do for me is they give me a way to message. They give Dr. Camelia a way to message to our young people. We see you, we hear you, we understand that you're dealing with challenges, and we want to help you. And just the mere fact of putting the data out there, because prior to that, it didn't exist in many cases. To me, that's a step in the right direction.
Before Dr. Harb jumps on to explain a little bit more, and I would love her to do that, Dr. Alfiee, I'm you've explained it really nicely. And the fact that you've just highlighted that it's not girl because you have an issue or there is an issue, it's because they have an issue. And that's how you gotta try to train that mind. It's an immature mind, by the way. It's a very, I mean, Dr. Harb is saying that 13% at the age of 13 they start going on social media, and 90% are on the social media by that time.
Yeah.
We know that 7, 8 onwards they're already interacting and they're seeing what their parents are seeing, so they're already hearing stuff well before 13 years, and we can imagine what is going through that 13-year-old mind. um, Dr. Harb, explain to us a little bit how we gonna, if every 1/3 kid is now gonna be threatened, bullied, how they look because they don't look similar to how a general population looks.
Mm-hmm.
How are we gonna rectify this? Where are we gonna start? What a remarkable journey we've just experienced together. The path to health isn't always straight, but it's always worth the effort. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your wellness journey, armed with new knowledge and a fresh perspective. If today's episode left you inspired, share it with people, someone who need to hear this. Give us a thumbs up and your opinion. Keep exploring, keep evolving, and we'll see you in the next episode of Khan Klinics.